Hey everyone, Yan Zhao back again. Brand. Finally got this in. Actually, I've had this for a month or two. This was a book written by Antonio Brice, art by the famous Caanan White. It was originally on Indiegogo, I believe, in 2018. I don't know what happened. It was kind of a weird thing where he got the books in and they were starting to be delivered like at least 6 months, if not a year, before I actually got mine. I don't know what the heck took so long in fulfillment, but overall, good project. Written by Antonio Brice, art by Caanan White, colors by Kid Icarus. I don't know Kid Icarus, and we'll get into the coloring in a bit. Lettering by Rage Graphics, not super familiar with that. And Amanda J. Lamela was the editor, which you can actually tell that this book was edited because it makes sense. Something a lot of books lack these days. We start out, we have a girl on the road. I believe this is supposed to be former comic skater Edwin Boyette. So he drops her off in Detroit, and sorry, I can't remember the name right now, but Pimp Guy. We'll call him Pimp Guy. So he basically finds her, he gets her to follow him, hang out with him, and we're introduced to Malcolm, who we'll get to in a couple of minutes. Biohazard stuff going wrong. So one thing about this book is there are a lot of moving elements, and at the beginning it's not quite clear how they all fit together, but as you go on it does get better. So let's get a little bit here. So we have all right, so we have Malcolm. You can see him doing a TV interview. He's a famous chef. I'm not sure if he's specifically supposed to be the Uncle Ben's guy or if he just happens to really look like Uncle Ben. Something which, depending on when you're watching this video, may have been canceled. But we find him, he's a little bit chubby. Is he Antonio? Is he Caanan? I don't know. He has this face that floats around. He can basically transform himself into a guy who's totally jacked. And this is an interesting world where you have high science and magic together. So usually, for the things that we can't do or would be amazing in the world, either you would have science, like some sort of science that's beyond ours, like transporter technology in Star Trek, or it would be all attributed by magic. But in this world you have both, and it wasn't entirely clear to me like what the limits of either were. So there's this interesting blurring of magic and science. So we find that he's tracking down some evil people. His job is to help, and different magic attributes. One thing that was interesting to me about the colors is when Antonio was previewing a lot of the stuff, I saw an interview with him talking about he and Caanan found this Kid Icarus colorer, and they're like, yeah, that's the guy. The thing is, in the previews, they were showing like these kinds of pages, which I was like, that's the guy, really? To me, the colors looked very sickly, and yes, they do, and they're supposed to. It goes with the theme, so if you take them out of context, it's like, it's just like this really uncomfortable yellowish green, sort of like when you see someone's face who's about to vomit, like, or they got seasickness or something, like that's what you would think of. But yeah, that's kind of how this whole section goes. But if you look at the colors, in the context of how the scene is written, spot on. Also, the colors in the rest of the book are very nicely done. I don't see a whole lot of that horrible airbrush look. There's a lot of weird stuff. There's like old Chinese Kung Fu masters. There's some magical shenanigans going on. It seems sort of like kidnappings and things from heaven and hell. It's just a crazy story. I think I'm in for number 2. The only potential downside is Caanan White had announced that he's no longer Comicsgate, but I don't know what that means, because was he Comicsgate just because he was associated with Brand and Antonio Brice, at least at the time, said he was Comicsgate? Or is it more that he doesn't want to, that Caanan doesn't want to be associated with anything that could be associated with Comicsgate? I don't know. Hopefully he's in for number 2. But yeah, I think I'm in. So, kind of more like a 90s comic book. You have superhero with a secret identity. Instead of, glasses or a mask, he uses a lot of fat to keep his identity secret. A lot of interesting stuff with potential supernatural enemies, and I'm really curious how Antonio resolves the whole, like, this is magic, this is science. How do they work together to form this world? So I like Brand. The art's fantastic. The writing is pretty good. A little bit confusing on the story, like how do all the pieces fit together. I assume if you got like volume 1 and 2 together, I'm sure things would make a lot more sense. But what do you think? Did you like Brand? Did you get Brand? Leave a comment down below. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't like it, still give it a thumbs up just to mess with me. And subscribe to the channel. See you guys soon.